Lunch, one of the 3 basic meals in a day, is arguably the most important. Lunch break gives us an hour away from classes and work, as well as time to savor our meals. Perhaps the underclassmen that eat out would spend more time eating their meals. But are the meals provided at school so good that we have to slowly consume it? Let's see where the ICS students and teachers get their lunches.
I've been going outside to eat for about 2 years now. Usually go outside?
Usually I eat Sodexo food.
Outside.
I order takeout.
Bring lunch from home.
I normally bring lunch from home.
I bring my lunch from home.
We both bring our home lunch.
It seems like not many of our students actually eat Sodexo food.
So, we asked ICS senior Joseph Lowe what he thinks of Sodexo's food quality.
It's very consistent, but the quality level is not that high.
We also asked why people choose to bring their lunch from home.
It's cheaper, and my helper cooks what I like.
From what I heard from other classmates, it's a bit pricey and it's not the best food.
I think I can make better food at home, so I'd rather just bring my own lunch and then I can save money too.
Now that we've heard one side of the story, let's hear why our students choose to buy takeout or go off campus for lunch.
Like, they don't really look like what they describe on the menu.
And low quality.
So this lettuce was really soggy, so
It's expensive.
But it was like cat food.
the portions are getting smaller.
During the Gen 852 conference, we decided to find out how much the lunch costs in other schools.
How much does food at your school cost?
$22.
If you would take a guess, how much do you think this meal costs?
20 something.
Okay, $20 dollars. That's about the same as the meals at your school.
Yeah.
So, here we bought cookies from Sodexo and Subway. We did a taste test with students and teachers from ICS. A cookie from Sodexo cost $11 and a cookie from Subway cost $6. We placed the Sodexo cookie in box A and the Subway cookie in box B.
Alright, so over here we have 2 different kinds of cookies. There's one from Sodexo and one from Subway. Take a piece from box A.
Okay, I prefer B.
A.
I think I like B more.
I'm gonna go with A.
B.
What did we learn? For one, the placebo effect is real. People thought that Subway cookies were more expensive than Sodexo's. But more importantly, we realized that even though Sodexo charges more for their cookies, the Subway cookie tastes better.
But why does Sodexo cost so much? To find out, we asked Jason, the manager of Sodexo in ICS.
I think the main factor are human beings. Since we haven't protected the earth to lead too much extreme weather, then cause bad hazards. Therefore, the price of food raw materials to go in crazy.
Jason tells us that the rising food prices are the primary concern. But just how much does a Sodexo meal cost? We decided to go on a field trip to Park and Shop and find out ourselves. So, is Sodexo a monopoly? We asked our economics teacher, Mr. Cliff, about the monopoly in ICS.
A free market system is basically a system where people can interact, make exchanges without governmental interference. They have their own private property, and they operate according to the rule of law. Basically, you get more of what you want. Okay, when you have a centralized system, someone else is kind of telling you what you're going to get, and you might not get what you want. You might not get as much as you want. Free market encourages people to be productive and to produce more than a centrally planned system, because that type system often results in people freeloading.
Greater supply, might drive down prices because there'd be some competition, right?
And the rising prices are probably because they're trying to provide a better product to compete with everybody leaving campus or not. So they're trying to provide a better product, a higher quality product, so higher prices. And also because of inflation. The products that they're using to make their product to sell you, like the food products, whatever they are probably costing them more. And so they're having to pass that on to you all as consumers.
It's captive both ways. They have a captive market, which is us. Like, we don't invite people off the street to eat lunch at Sodexo, right? So they have a limited, finite market here. Well, we also have a limited, finite supplier, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a very interesting business relationship. Yeah.
It's a semi-monopoly because people get to go off campus if they don't like what Sodexo is providing, right? If you're 11th or 12th grader, I believe. And if you're a 9th or 10th grader, you don't have to have the Sodexo food if you want to bring your own food in.
But what about tribe lunch? Aren't people willing to pay $30 to $40 on lunches outside of ICS? Why do restaurants in a free market provide food at a much higher quality and a more reasonable price?
Welcome to Introduction to Economics by Lui Yan, the part of the show where I, Lui Yan, introduce you to economics. In order to explain why prices of the Japanese restaurant and Sodexo differ, let's make a simplified model of supply and demand. This is a model of the demand curve in the Japanese restaurant. Because City 1 is a free market, consumers are free to choose between one shop or another. If the Japanese restaurant does something crazy, like raise their prices to $80, a 75% increase, then almost half their customers will leave, going to somewhere cheaper like KFC or Café de Coro. Now let's look at Sodexo in 2002, where the cost for every lunch is approximately $25. Today, the price has exploded to $35 a meal, almost a 50% increase in 10 years. But since Sodexo has significant market power in ICS, most students continue eating in Sodexo and the number of customers doesn't drop significantly. If we don't do something now, who knows how much Sodexo will charge their prices? Since they are a for-profit organization, if they think that raising prices to something crazy like $60 will increase profits, they'll do it. Is that really what we want to happen?
One way to reduce Sodexo's monopoly power is to allow all high school students, even lowerclassmen, to eat outside for lunch.
Yeah, that actually has been a question that has been raised periodically, not only by students, actually sometimes teachers have asked that too. I actually recently asked the Parent Association to give me their perspective on that as well. Do they want 9s and 10s going off campus or not? Because I think that's partly a parental decision, not just a school decision.
Yeah, that would probably result in either Sodexo lowering prices or providing a better product, or maybe deciding they just want to move completely out of ICS if they were allowed to go off.
It's not a money-making thing for the school. It's a money-making thing for Sodexo. They want to turn a profit, but for the school, it's not a profit-making thing.
But I believe they own all the stuff in that kitchen. That's not ICS equipment. Okay. It's owned by Sodexo. They actually installed it there, right? So
I think the 9th and 10th graders should be allowed to leave campus if they want to. I think they're old enough and mature enough to be able to do that and to make a choice like that. I think almost every school in Hong Kong lets their secondary students go out for lunch.
I generally notice a distinct growth in maturity between grade 9 and grade 12. Okay, in general, 11s and 12s are more responsible than 9s and 10s. Okay, so you could argue that 11s and 12s are at that stage of maturity in life where we know they're going to be fine.
in a city or a more suburban kind of environment, allowing older students to go off campus for lunch shouldn't be a problem.
Back when we were at the Bethel campus, many, many years ago, we didn't have a cafeteria for some time. Everyone went off campus for lunch, even down to grade 7, I think was the lowest. I think they kept grade 6s in for lunch at school, but grade 7 and above all went off campus for lunch in Kansas City, yeah, at that time.
But I was part of the vetting process where we went and visited a number of other international schools with food service vendors. And you get what you pay for. We went to one school, which I will not name, but it was almost like a food court. However, the prices were much, much more. And basically, if we could have had that kind of service, and I wanted that kind of service, I wanted there to be a coffee bar, a sandwich bar, a salad bar. But then you have to pay more for those things. That was the bottom line. And the committee felt that students and parents perhaps wouldn't want to pay $40 or $45 for a lunch. When because my tribe is in 10th grade this year, 9th and 10th grade, they like to go out a lot, so I wind up at least almost once a week taking them out. But I think they're old enough to go out on their own. But then when you go to City 1, then you have Subway, you have McDonald's, you have KFC, you have the Yoshinoya. Yeah, so man, you get a nice variety. And you don't spend that much. Well, if you go to McDonald's, you spend a lot less than you spend here.
So, what now? If ICS were just any school, then it could just ignore the problem. Ignore Sodexo's monopoly. Ignore the fact that Sodexo sells a meal for $35 when the school next door sells for $25. Most of the teachers in ICS don't eat Sodexo anyways. Why should they care? But if ICS is a school where the administration cares about its students, then they would heed this. We want change. We want lunch that is both cheaper and of higher quality. We want the right of choice to choose between various vendors in ICS. We want the right to leave ICS for lunch. Yes, even underclassmen. We want the right to take a 10-minute walk to City 1 where we can dine to our heart's content. We want the right to ask, hey, if I'm mature enough to go to school by myself, how am I not mature enough to go out for lunch? The students have spoken. We aren't asking for much. All we can ask of you is to listen and to consider why we allow Sodexo, a monopoly, in our school.
You used to call me on my cell phone, late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone, late night when you need